Hey, what's up, my Dragon Legion? How y'all been? And happy early Halloween! Now, in traditions of Halloween, I want to show you Dragoons a CardFight Vanguard deck profile that's kind of a little bit scary-ish. Now, I've already done Steel Dragons not too long ago, and I've already done Kagero Berserk Dragon not too long ago, so I figured I'd go with the next best thing. Seeing a guy that goes from mellow, calm to literally as dark as evil as much as possible, and that is Dauntless Dragon and a Dauntless Kagero Dauntless-Stride deck profile. Now, it has taken me a while for me to get this deck together, and after some long thinking and after some proper time dedication, I finally managed to put together a very cool version of a Dauntless-Stride Kagero deck right here. I have not got a chance to test play this deck just yet. I just finally put together this deck not too long recently, so when this video is done being recorded, I'll definitely take this deck out for a spin, see how well this deck does, and hopefully this deck can show me some progress and some great potential of a fantastic deck nonetheless. And with that being said, let's get on to this creepy Kagero deck profile right here. Shall we, Dragoons? Alright, start off with your Forerunner, start off with normally I would use Red Pulse Draco Kid in this deck right here, but again, I'm currently testing out some things in particular. So currently right now, I'm testing out one cop as my Forerunner, one Dragon Knght Kid right here. Just a nice, interesting Forerunner here. Even though Dauntless Drive Dragon is normally a cheap Counterblast deck in order to do some abilities, it is always nice to have an ability where you can do certain things in particular without having to use a Counterblast. So that's always really nifty as well. And if you can't use the ability as well, it's always a nice free lock to have for your Dauntless Drive ability, in case something like that happens. But what's so good outside of those two things is this guy has a really nice ability where during your turn, if one of your opponent's rear guards was retired because of one of your card effects, you can immediately put this guard from your rear guard circle to the Soviet Vanguard and just pretty much pop off another rear guard. And yeah, your opponent forces your opponent to pop out one of their own his or her rear guards. Now, granted, it's their choice, but it is one less rear guard you have to deal with. And what's really great about this card is if you use this ability off during early game while your opponent has only two rear guards, boom, just use two abilities, and boom, you just pop off two rear guards with one stone right there. So, yeah, really nice, interesting card right here. And again, worst case scenario, you can't use the ability, you can always use Dominant Dragon's ability to lock it, and instead of using your good cards in particular, in case something like that happens. Next up for your trigger lineup, we have the 4 heals. No explanation needed with the heals. And I think a lot of you Dragoons, for those of you who have watched my videos for a very long time, for the trigger lineup, it's the usual 6 critical and 6 draw lineup right here. Now, this was a competitive deck. Of course, I would take out 4 of these draw triggers in particular to put in Gatling Claw Dragons and such. But again, this is just a deck, just mess around for fun and test out some things in particular. So this is normally again, this is just for messing around with things. You Dragoons know how I like 6 critical, 6 draw, be equal balance of being aggressive and going for the kill as fast as possible, while still being defensive and be able to draw into what you need to draw into the most. So yeah, 6 draws, 6 crits. That's the way how I like to roll when it comes to Vanguard. And the last grade 0. Yes, there's actually a grade 0 besides the triggers. And it is Lizard Soldier Conro. Now, the stinky thing about this guy is he's banned from being your starter Vanguard. So you are allowed to play him, but he's no longer allowed to start out as your starting Vanguard, which does definitely become a downfall of certain things. But Conro is still a great useful card, even outside that. Conro just has that nice ability where by just counterblasting one and retiring him, you can search out your deck for any grade 1 that you really need the most that can allow you to do some really nice potential key plays here and there. So Conro definitely has some nice potential. And another thing that's also great and hilarious that you can do with Conro is, let's say you get great. Obviously, you're going to go for G support if something like this happens. But if you want to be funny, just ride Conro on top of your Dragon Knght, and then ride a grade 1 on top of Conro, and just mess with people and make your people just drop their jaws that you were able to go all with Conro's Forerunner ability like that. It's just hilarious. hilarious if you can make people, if you can do that with Conro for old time's sake. It's just funny that you can do that. Now, obviously, I would not recommend it if you're a competitive player, but if you want to mess around, just have fun, go right ahead, do that stuff. It's just hilarious, and you will get a laugh out when you do something like that. And that's it for the grade 0s and the triggers. Now for the grade 1s, we have, of course, your 4 perfect guards, 4 Protect Orb dragons, your special perfect guards. You don't have to use special perfect guards, especially knowing the fact that this deck is kind of a cheap counterblast deck. So you can just play. Regular perfect guards, and your deck would still function just fine. I just like having Protect Orb dragon, cause the ability to unflip a damage when you go off with him, when you conveniently have a nerd copy in your drop, is always very nice to have around, and it can be really useful when times like that happens, especially if you have no way to make up for stuff like that and such. And since it is a Dauntless-Stride deck, it does make sense to have your instant strides, so 4 level flows for your instant strides. Next up, we have 3 Dragon Monk Gojos, a very nice card played in a deck like this. Gojo just has that really nice ability where you can just rest him to pitch a card, draw a card. So after you use this ability, you can then use your Dominant Dragon's ability to lock him. Pretty much get a free lock out of him. So you don't have to. So you're not really losing anything if you use Dominant Dragon's ability to lock your Gojo after you use the ability. Or if you don't want to do that, Gojo is still always a decent 7k booster when something like that happens. Nonetheless, Gojo is still a very great useful card, especially in a deck like this, where you can just use Gojo's ability to rest in the pitch card, draw a card, and then use a locking ability, whereas your cost to do something particular, and just lock Gojo, a card that you're not going to do anything with him until the end of your turn anyways, to just have some fun with some nice, cool, interesting plays here and there. And lastly, for the grade 1s, 2 copies of Dragon Monk Gyokuryu. I probably got his name wrong. For those of you who don't know what he does, he has GB1, meaning that he can't use his ability unless you struggle at least once. While he's in your rear guard circle, every time when your opponent's rear guard is retired because of one of your abilities, this unit gets 5,000 power until end of turn. So you can either use a guy as a decent attacker or a really great booster, depending on how many rear guards you retire. Like if you retire at least 2 rear guards, this guy becomes either a 16 attacker or a 16 booster out of nowhere. And that's not even, and that's just if you retire just 2 rear guards. If you retire more than 2 rear guards, he becomes a handful for your opponent right off the bat, which is really nice to have around for a deck like this. And so yeah, Gyokuryu is just a really cool card to have around, and I have not got a chance to test play him yet, but in the near future I will do so. That's it for grade 1s. Now for grade 2s. For grade 2s, we have Dominant Drive, max copies of Dominant Drive Dragon. As long as your Vanguard is Dauntless card name, he becomes your 12k attacker. Nothing really too special out of him. Next up, we have 4 copies of Twilight Dragon. He's a nice new addition to this deck right here. For those who do not know what he does, it's GB1. Pretty much you need to strike at least once in order to use the ability. If he's attacking your opponent's Vanguard while he's in your rear guard circle, as long as he's being boosted by Kagero rear guard, he gets the ability of Counterblast 1, and you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards. So, what's really nice about this card right here is for if you're a type of Kagero player like I am, you normally like to go for the rear guards for understandable reasons. But with a card like this, you can actually have the comfortability of going after the Vanguard like you're supposed to, while still getting the nice power of being able to retire one of your opponent's rear guards, as long as this guy is being boosted while he's attacking your opponent's Vanguard, which is always very nice to have around. And it can allow you to get some nice combos, especially when you want to do combos that involves this guy and this guy, which I'll get to very shortly when we get to the Stride deck. So yeah, Twilight Dragon is just a really fun and nasty card to have around. It's fun for the Kagero player, and it's not fun. It's nasty against the opposer of the opposer of the deck right here. So yeah, that's what we got there. And then just to pay tribute to the old school style of how I normally play this deck, 3 copies of Protect Dragon. Nothing really too special. For those who don't know what he does is, when this card lands an attack, lands a hit on your opponent's Vanguard, unflip the card face down damage to face up. Nothing really too special. It's a really nice ability to get it off, but for understandable reasons, I think people will probably take this card out for your 10k attackers for understandable reasons, because while ability like this is very nice, your opponent will definitely, it'll probably not be always really the biggest benefit of this deck right here, especially when this deck is kind of a cheap counterblast deck, so ability like this isn't really always as needed. But one thing that's really nice about this card right here is, besides the obvious, it has by having an ability like this, digging right at your opponent, it does force your opponent out to use up some resources just to block off the attack, because depending on what kind of Kagero deck you're playing, and if you have not yet revealed too much what you're doing, your opponent will assume that you're not playing something too serious. Will immediately assume that you're playing something that's counterblast heavy. They'll waste your good resources guard off this card's attack, and then they'll learn the hard way that you're playing something that's kind of cheap counterblast, and they'll pay so hard after that. I don't know, it's just really based upon player's preference and how you feel honestly about the card. And that is it for the grade 2s. Now for the grade 3s. For the grade 3s, we have 4 copies of Dauntless Drive Dragon. Now, if you don't get the cross break off, it's not the end of the world. Your deck can function just fine without this card right here. But if you do get the card ability off, it's a really nice ability what you can do. What he does is, Rhythm Break 4, or should I say Break Ride, because it's a Break Ride ability. When a Kagero unit rides on top of this unit, that unit gets 10,000 power and the ability of, when this unit is done battling a unit, you may pay the cost, which is just pitch 3 Kageros from your hand to drop zone. When the cost is paid after doing so you can the Vanguard can stand right back up. So, what the ideal goal of this deck right here with Dauntless Drive Dragon and Dauntless Dragon is do a cross break ride do a cross break ride. This guy becomes a 23 beater, and by activating his ability, he becomes a 23 beater that can swing at your opponent's Vanguard like twice. And that's not even counting what else you can get depending on what you get in drive checks and all that sort of stuff, which I'll get to very shortly. I mean, just nonetheless, a 23 beater that can attack twice, while knowing that it will not be able. While knowing that it does not lose any twin drives at all, both attacks it gets both its twin drives, is always a very nice handy effect that can allow you to just do some really nice things against your opponent, and you can just get around some really nice mean things with your opponent. So yeah, 4 Dauntless Drive Dragons. And finally, to end the grade 3 lineup, your idea key card of the entire deck, and that is 4 copies of Dauntless Dragon Reverse. Now, for those of you who don't know what he does, yes, Rhythm Break 4, Counterblast 1, and lock one of your Kagero rear guards and lock it. Till end of turn, this unit gets the ability of, when this unit's drive check reveals a grade 1 or greater Kagero, choose one opponent's grade 1 or less rear guards and retire it, and this unit gets plus 3,000 power until end of turn. So, what your ideal goal is, now, again, as I said earlier with Dauntless Drive Dragon, if you don't get the cross break right off, it's not the end of the world. He's still 11 beater that can do some stuff in particular, but if you do get the cross break right off going, he just becomes a very nice meanish card to have around. So what you do is you do your cross break ride. He gets the ability of becoming a 23 beater with for this turn the ability of after he's done attacking, he stands up right back up by pitching 3 Kageros. While before you go into battle, you activate this guy's ability, counterblast only 1 card, and lock one of your rear guards, and he gets the ability of, whenever you reveal a grade 1 or greater Kagero in your drive checks, you can pop off one of your opponent's rear guards. So while it doesn't allow you to pop off the more serious cards, like the front row cards, it does allow you to pop off those annoying back row units that you don't want to deal with. So it definitely combos out with some great things in particular, like especially with your Twilight Dragon, like you can have this guy potentially pop off your opponent's back row units while having really great cards, like for example Twilight Dragon popping off the front row rear guard to the point where your opponent has nothing left to deal with by paying only so little in return of using abilities like so. So yeah, Dauntless Dragon is just a really nice wrecking force to be reckoned with, and when the combos are done right, he just becomes a fun, hilarious card to play around with. And that is it for the entire main deck. Now for the Stride deck. For the Stride deck, I play 3 copies of Dragon Knght, Divine Dragon Knght Mahmud. Just basic generic card for Kageros in general. Nothing really too special about him. And next we have 4 copies of Root Flare Dragon, probably one of the best Kagero strides right now at the moment. Just a really nice, just a really nice fantastic card. By just puts on and flipping 1 card, he can retire 2 rear guards in 1 column, which is just really nice, insane, and really gnarly to have around when something like this happens. And finally, to end the stride lineup, we have the 1 copy of the card I was talking about earlier, 1 copy of Divine Dragon Knight Zahm. Zahm is just a really nice, interesting card right here. What Zahm does is, whenever your opponent's rear guard is retired by one of your card effects besides this card right here, you can counterblast 1 card. If you do choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Now, as I was saying earlier, there's some really nice combos you can do with Twilight Arrow Dragon and with your Forerunner at the same time. Now, one thing you can definitely do with this guy that can definitely make some nice abilities is, let's say he's right here. Let's say he's right here, and he's right here. What you can do is do something like this, like first swing with these guys right here. Yeah, first swing with these guys right here. That's 14 attacking the rear guard, attacking the vanguard, and then activate. Since he is technically being boosted, go out with his ability, counterblast 1, retire 1 of your opponent's rear guards, then have his guy as effective trigger off. Counterblast 1, retire another rear guard, then you're going to use this guy's ability, put him in his soul, use this guy's ability, pop out another rear guard, and then go off with this guy's ability, counterblast 1, retire another rear guard. So, since this guy is still attacking while this all is going on, 9,000 power isn't always the greatest, but if you can get some nice things going on with the Twin Drive, like let's say if you can get some nice things going on before this guy was swinging, just the ability that you were able to get some combos out with him before that happens is always very nice to have around. And if you had something nice going on, like let's say for example, you attack with him before you attack with him, depending on what you got in your triple drive check, he still becomes a decent attacker when something like that happens. And just a nice thing about him is you were able to go off with his ability before something like this happened, and still, regardless of attacker was a hit or not, you were still with a combo that is nice as this, you were still able to pop off some really nice rear guards right after abilities like this. And yeah, Dragoons, that right there was my current Dauntless-Stride deck profile. Happy Halloween, Dragoons, or should I say happy early Halloween. It's a really cool deck. I really enjoy playing this deck very much. It's something that's not really too oftenly done on this channel, and I'm very glad I was able to finally put it together. It's a really nice, fun deck, and what's really cool about this deck is it's a very cheap, costly deck too, so it shouldn't really be too hard to put this deck together if you Dragoons want to put this deck together. However, the Root Flare Dragons, if my memory serves me right, he is still up there priced, I believe $10 to $15 per Root Flare. So he is still kind of a hard card to get if you want to put this deck together. But as I said before, you can play a really great Dauntless-Stride deck without playing Root Flare Dragons. You'll have to max out on playing cards like this guy, and generic strides, and your deck should be functioning just fine if something like that happens where you cannot afford Root Flare. So Root Flare, but if you can get your hands on a max set Root Flare on a fair price, definitely take it, because Root Flare is just nonetheless a very great fun card to play in a deck like this. So, with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below, and I will see Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video to other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Media Alliance. And I'll see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.